Vinnie Paul, Pantera drummer and co-founder, dead at 54. Vinnie Paul, drummer and founding member of the heavy metal band Pantera, died at the age of 54 Friday night, the band announced on Facebook. No immediate cause of death was provided. Pictures to feature in a Vulgar display of Pantera book by photographer Joe Giron. Vincent Paul Abbott aka Vinnie Paul has passed away, Pantera wrote. Paul is best known for his work as the drummer in the bands Pantera and Hell Yeah. No further details are available at this time. The family requests you please respect their privacy during this time. Can't believe it. R.I.P. to our brother Vinnie Paul, Anthrax tweeted, while Paul Stanley of Kiss, whose former member Peter Criss was one of Paul and Oppos's biggest influences, wrote, "So sad to hear of the death of Vinnie Paul. Loved when Pantera did shows with us, and in later years Vinnie was always front and center at all Kiss shows. R.I.P. and condolences to his family." The Texas-born Paul formed Pantera alongside his brother, guitar virtuoso Dimebag Darrell Abbott, and bassist Rex Brown in 1981. The band spent roughly their first decade as ardent disciples of the new wave of British heavy metal, blending in elements of thrash and hair metal as the decade wore on. After recording 3 albums in the early 80s with vocalists Donny Hart and Terry Glaze, the band recruited singer Phil Anselmo in 1987 to form Pantera and Oppose classic lineup of Anselmo, Abbott, Paul and Brown. With 1990 and Oppose Cowboys from Hell, their major label debut, the band took a quantum leap, quickly becoming leaders of a new school of metal. The group turned their focus to grinding, hypnotic deep pocket rhythms, powered by Paul and Oppose's stunningly nimble double kick work. Their next album, Vulgar Display of Power, number 10 on Rolling Stone and Oppose's greatest metal albums list, was a near-perfect example of what would come to be known as groove metal and a blueprint for how heavy music sounded throughout the 90s and beyond. Somewhat miraculously, their still more extreme follow-up, 1994 and Oppose's Far Beyond Driven, debuted at number 1, with the Great Southern Trendkill arriving 2 years later. 3 years after 2000 and Oppose's Reinventing the Steel, Pantera disbanded following the rifts between the Abbott brothers and Anselmo. Following Pantera, the Abbott brothers formed Damageplan and released 2004 and Oppose's Newfound Power, but that band and Oppose's tenure was tragically cut short when Dimebag was shot and killed on stage by a deranged fan in December 2004. 2 years after the death of his brother, Paul returned to music with the metal supergroup Hell Yeah, which featured Mudvayne singer Chad Gray and guitarist Greg Tribbett and Nothing Face guitarist Tom Maxwell and bassist Jerry Montano. Paul and Oppose's Damageplan bandmate Bob Zilla ultimately replaced Montano on bass. The supergroup released 5 albums together over the past decade, most recently 2016 and Oppose's Undone. In subsequent years, Pantera and Oppose's soulful yet punishing grooves and their albums and Oppose's sleek, borderline industrial sound, the result of a long-standing collaboration with producer Terry Date, would be echoed in the work of some of the biggest metal bands of the 2000s, including Lamb of God, Slipknot and Five Finger Death Punch. "The second I put it in, my entire life changed," FFDP singer Ivan Moody said in 2013 of the first time he heard Cowboys from Hell. "My soul lit up. My eyes turned red. That was it for me. They and Oppose become the greatest band on earth to me. This story is developing.